Hello and welcome to Health Second Opinion. Dr. Chad here with you, hoping to bring you some thoughts and some principles that will allow you to always continue to develop and bring about creating more. I hope so. If you're tuning into this and you don't want a better life, well, then you need to go ahead and tune out, because that's what we're always focused on, is helping you to understand how to regenerate your body better and how to achieve the things that you are wanting. And so when we look at things right now in creating more life, one of the biggest things that we need to affect is our mindset. That mindset aspect is so key right now in staying focused on what we want to achieve. And so when we look at things, one of the biggest things, you can't fix something if you don't know it's broken. And for a lot of conversation, getting off and digressing in the office more than I should with patients about the current status of affairs with the way that we are envisioning the way things will go in the near future with the pandemic, that it is a big get off point. But if we're going to create more, that awareness of the real problem is that there is not currently a healthcare system here in America. It's a sick care system. And until we as a society decide and establish that that's the reality of it, and that we start calling it what it is, so that more people can become aware of the fact that they're not experiencing that healthcare system, then without awareness, we can't fix it. And so that's the first step, is to that understanding of what is the problem. And it is the system that has allowed us to stay focused on negatives and on managing problems and addressing symptoms versus the cause. And if we're going to replace it, we have to then put in things that would build us up and keep us focused on the reality that we create our own lives. It is our brain that is in control of our bodies. And so since the safety pin cycle, I love this, going old school here, back to the dry erase board, that I can get back to doing things like this, that we can just touch on the philosophy of that there is this neurological connection between the brain and the body, which is why chiropractic care is so essential to health. It's also constantly a generator information, and then having the body adapt to that information, and both from a physical, chemical, and emotional standpoint. And so it is what is processing how our bodies will respond, regenerate, react, whatever aspects you want to focus on. That's that connection. And the reason that chiropractic is so in this loop, there's the motor nerve impulse going down and telling the body what the brain wants it to do. But then there are also the sensory signals. So we got the sensory, we've got the motor impulses, and if there is a breakdown in the communication, if you get subluxated, if you have a subluxation that's breaking down that connection, whether it is from a thought, whether it's from a trauma, whether it's from a toxin, then this doesn't happen efficiently. Your body can't stay connected and maintain whatever's at the end of those nerves, whether that's your thyroid or whether that's your foot. Depending on the experience that you see from that subluxation process. And so when we think about chiropractic, and the reason that I'm talking to you about, really a healthcare system, that we really need to establish that we understand, and as a society understand, that 90% of disease is caused by lifestyle, and therefore being out of alignment, being disconnected physically, chemically, emotionally, spiritually, disconnected. And the more disconnections there are in our lives, the less this loop happens on every level: physical, chemical, emotional, and spiritual. So that we put in, the more breakdowns there is, because this is happening between every organ and tissue in your body and your brain. So this connections and these things are what are affecting it. The 3 T's are affecting the brain and affecting your body, and how your body has the capability of regenerating itself. And so in chiropractic, so many people have experienced chiropractic through just a breakdown in that connection, and they experience it as back pain or headaches or whatever, a lot of things that people come in for, and that we see miracles with. And there's no discounting the fact that chiropractic is amazing at dealing with problems with that structure, the spine, but yet it is so much more. And it can maintain and help you through the philosophy of chiropractic, because it is true health care, especially when it's delivered through Max Living in the 5 Essentials. And that's what we want, is to help empower you to be able to create a better regenerating, healthier body by removing the cause of your dysfunction, your dis-ease. And so to do that, we have to take care of the whole human being, and understanding what creates, or I should say, your body is the only thing that can create more new cells, right? It's what creates your health. So our job is to remove anything that is interfering with that regeneration process, so that your innate intelligence, your soul, your whole body is animated through that innate intelligence. And it's using your brain-body connection that goes through your spinal column to organize and regenerate and calibrate and make sure all of that happens as efficiently as possible in dealing with whatever thoughts, traumas, and toxins are coming your way, to which you have to adapt to. Self, as I do to you or to anybody else, is that it's been hard to focus on prosperity. And it's been harder to focus on creating what we want when we expect what we have to come to an end. And it's very a daunting task. And I think that so many people are COVID weary and worn down, because there's been more disconnections. We have to realize that our lives were created, whether good or bad, positive or negative, based on our body, our mind's reaction, and to our thoughts, traumas, and toxins, good or bad. And then we've created our reality. And then along comes this problem that we have as a society, this pandemic. And then we become more disconnected. Ones, and we've been being educated very wrongly that everyone's an enemy, and that everything's scary, and that connection is bad and contact is bad, and to love virtually, which virtually stinks, right? I mean, like I can't, I saw the goggles on TV the other day where their person was virtually rock climbing, and they were seeing themselves rock climbing, but they were just standing in their living room. So I'm glad that we could do it. It's a good, better, bad alternative. But the fact is that when we disconnect emotionally, spiritually, physically, when we are disconnected, we should expect a breakdown in the brain body, physically, chemically, and emotionally. and positive, because they tell you a vision of breakdown and of problem and of all of these things without handing out solution. And we obviously at this point in time know, mandated or not, follow the rules, follow your heart, follow your guidelines, follow whatever you believe. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm illuminating the reality of the fact that, some 80% of people who are contracting COVID are wearing masks. And so obviously not societally making that great of a difference due to probably usage, type, all kinds of things, effectiveness and the negatives. But what we're not doing is creating solution to the real problem, which is a sick host. The sicker the person is, the worse they have reactions to this problem, whether it's this virus or another virus, whether it's a bacteria. I mean, are you telling me that the person who falls and breaks their hip and they go into shock, peripheral vascular or cardiovascular failure, that is succumb to pneumonia, that it was just something they caught in the hospital every time? No. A lot of times their body is so chemically, emotionally, and physically challenged that the normal bacteria and virus inside of them take over because their immune system is suppressed due to the shock. So if we're going to get back to helping our country, really, shouldn't we not just shut down the country? We shouldn't shut down the country. We should shut down fast food. If we're going to help the country, shouldn't we keep the gyms open and shut down the bar? And I'm not talking about this from a moral standpoint even. I'm talking about just from the reality of what is damaging people. If we're going to do things, shouldn't we open the parks, encourage people to get out? Absolutely open all the parks and say, get out and play. The lower, keep your distance, do whatever you want to do to feel safe. Wear your mask if you want to, whatever you want to do. But shouldn't we be promoting things that promote health? Since 95 or 90% of disease is caused by lifestyle, the breakdown of what we are doing to our cells that limits our regenerating potential. So shouldn't we as a society be creating more healthy people? Because the healthier society is, the less likely people are to get sick and die. And it stinks to get sick, but that's not the problem. People understand you get the flu, you get a cold, you get run down, you get whatever. Sick's not the problem. Dead's the problem. And we want less people to die. And therefore, we need more healthier population. And the only way to do that is to create better practices. It only makes sense. But yet that's not what the Tell You a Vision is telling you on a regular basis. It's all problem, 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 and no solution. And so you come here for solution, for principle, for alignment. Because the more faith that we have, the more hope that we have, comes from being in better alignment with the principles that govern how our bodies function, both physically and spiritually or emotionally. And so as a body, as we are trying, if we can create more alignment with these things and have more of those, then we will create more of that as our reality. And so be careful who you're allowing to tell you who you are. I'll repeat that. Be careful who you are allowing to tell you who you are, because you allow them. And so if you are allowing the TV, if you're allowing the internet, if you're allowing your conversation, scared, oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end, then your brain is creating your body to deal with this reality that you are telling it. You are telling it problem, problem, problem. because that which we feed upon is our nourishment. So are you nourishing yourself, or are you actually just creating more thoughts, traumas, and toxins? What are you giving your body physically, chemically, and emotionally to regenerate itself with? Are you giving it junk food? Because the world's coming to an end. Or are you giving it the building blocks of life through whole food nutrition so that it can deal with if the world comes to an end? Or if, as they say, a lot of people come in here and they say, oh man, all hell's about to break loose. Well, I want to be in good condition if all hell's going to break loose. I want to have the energy. I want to have the stamina. I want to have the muscle mass. I want to have the chemistry to deal with it instead of the junk food. Just a thought. We have to be in better alignment with our conversations, with our family, with our friends. And again, I'm speaking as much to myself as I am speaking to anyone who will listen to this. Is that we must remind ourselves that as we enter into these conversations, are they building me up or are they breaking me down? Am I filling myself up with something that I can use as a source of fuel, physically, chemically, and emotionally, to sustain life, create life, and create a life that's still in the trajectory to which I want? Because I don't know when the world really is going to come to an end. So I can either focus on my time being negative, and I can barricade up, I can mask up, I can wall off from the world, and I can create all of these negative things. Or I can be looking for opportunities in life to create more life, because I still don't know when it's going to happen. And so what is your focus? And that's a question. You have to stop and ask, where have you been for the last year? What about last week? What about 5 minutes ago? The question is, what are you going to be 5 minutes from now? For the last year, we've all been diving in and out of the panic. So the more you've been in the panic, the more you've created neurological circuitry that creates muscles, ligaments, tendons, organs, tissues that is going to align you with that. And the more time you spend in the faith, the hope, the principle, the alignment, then that's more neural circuitry. You're creating a bigger, better brain-body connection. That's one of the things developmentally, like to step back and say that developmentally, crawling is one of the great developmental stages for all other activities, speech, language, reading skills, for all balance, coordination, and activity, because it is a cross-crawl, whole body motion. So it's very important that our children spend a lot of time crawling. That if your child went straight from sitting up, and we proud parents say, look at them go, they went right from sitting up to standing up to walking, that's actually a negative thing, because they didn't build the bridge, the connection called the corpus callosum between the hemispheres of the brain, which is done when the body uses systematic stage is the beginning of the building of the development of the brain. So crawling is this amazing stage, and it sets the stage for the rest of your life. But if you aren't building those connections, if you're not building that crossover, and your body has a breakdown in the communication between the brain and the body caused by thoughts, traumas, or toxins, you then become subluxated. Your body is a breakdown between the brain and the body. That's why chiropractic, again, is so powerful. Because the physical subluxation, the misalignment of a vertebra causing inflammation around a nerve and on the spinal cord, breaks down the literal neurological electrical connection. Because when your brain experiences a thought, a trauma, or a toxin, it uses this electrical neurochemical connection to deal with it in every way possible. It determines what hormones are produced that come back up to the brain that tell it what the rest of the body is doing, how to function. Epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol for stress, Serotonin, dopamine for feel good, right? Just to make it simple. And so when we think about a breakdown in this communication, all else suffers. Everything else becomes second rate. It's not as good. It's not perfect. It's not what God intended for us. Because our bodies aren't functioning at 100%. And so the more connected we can get, the better. So the more that we can get rid of subluxations, the better our body will function. But then you have levels of that. You can get adjusted, and that's why at Max Living, again, not only are we dealing with the 5 essentials, not only are we surrounding people with the mindset, the chiropractic, the nutrition, the exercise, the detoxification to allow a whole human being approach to provide real health care, not sick care, not managing symptoms, not waiting for you to get bad enough that we guide you, and no other connection back to the brain is affected by that neurological connection. So that chiropractic adjustment, literally removing the disconnection. But then I can't say enough about being surrounded with that environment and that mindset and what that allows you to do. Because so many people are taught that, like this person who's falling off the building here, this is a skyscraper, this guy's falling off reading the newspaper, and the caption says, "I feel great so far." And that's how life is. And then most people, it's either their heart attack that's the sudden stop at the bottom for him. You know, he's falling off the building. The fall's not what kills him. It's the ground that he hit. It's really hard. They experience that as prolonged unmanaged diabetes. They experience that as obesity. They experience that, fill in the blank. And the question is how are you experiencing that? I don't know. And the question is do you want to get the reason why I think that so many people and the things that have been cut off from us are the connections, the hugs, the love, the communication, the community that surrounds us with positive things like church, things like our, I love the Optimist Club. They shut it down. We don't get to go meet, right? No physical, come on, it's the Optimist Club. Aren't we supposed to be taking care of ourselves so that, and we should have optimism that we'll survive? But again, I don't make all the rules, we're just following. But the reality is that if we don't have better alignment and we're not creating more faith, we're not creating more hope, we're not creating more, then we should expect bad outcomes. And that's that's what we've been robbed of. And that's what I say is that until we can get back to creating less sick people, to create more healthy people is the only way to fix society. The only way that there's not just going to be another one of these or this one continue forever is to stop treating the symptoms, stop focusing on vaccines and things that come from the outside into us, and start focusing on what creates 90% of the problems, which is our habits and lifestyle. And then if we can help people understand that and change the media, change the tell you a vision, in the song that they're telling you, the vision they're telling you is all the negative, the problems, the numbers, the negatives, and none of the solution to fixing the host. Well, welcome to Health, a second opinion, where you actually get to speak or listen to health. Because this is where it comes from, folks. Alignment with the principles that govern how your body works. If you become more disaligned, if you come out of alignment, if you have more breakdown, your body has more broken. If you get in better alignment, you have experienced better health. And so I hope that you will find a Max Living office near you. If you're in this tri-state area, the number's on the screen. You can call or text. I better text because actually today the phones have not been working very well. So texting's been working fine, and you can text your desire for a new patient appointment. In the office, for you and your entire family, please don't leave the kids out. They deserve to be healthy too. And we give you hope and focus to your family. Stay in alignment. Share this with your friends and family so that they can have a vision of what's possible instead of a vision of what's going wrong, so that they can start to change their mindset and get back to the reality that they are creating their reality. And so, what reality do they want to create? And if they want one of health and life and prosperity, you need a doctor on your team that helps you with life, health, and prosperity, and not one that's just managing your diseases and helping you feel better while you die sooner. If you want healthcare, go ahead, call or text. In the meantime, share this with your friends and family. With love and respect, hope that you will be blessed and have a prosperous week. We look forward to seeing